This week on Arizona Illustrated, the majesty and mystery of crested saguaros, riding bucking horses for a living and for the love of it, and second chances after hitting bottom. Welcome to Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. Imagine a saguaro. Probably looks something like this, right? At first glance, they all seem to look very similar. But take a closer look and you'll find, like snowflakes and people, each is unique. And once you see a crested saguaro, you'll realize you've never seen anything like it before.
It's like the cactus just decided to take a different way of growing.
It's the most unusual saguaro I've ever seen. It looks very regal, almost like a crown.
If you live in Tucson and you've been paying attention, you might have noticed one of these. It's a rare mutation of the saguaro cactus called a cristate, or crested saguaro. This one is located right next to Old Main on the University of Arizona campus. There's a strange one on the drive up to the top of A Mountain, one at Tohono Chul Park, one by the entrance to the Desert Museum, and a few more scattered around town. If you look for them on Google or search #crested saguaro on Instagram, you can see quite a few more. Even in this age, when access to information seems infinite, the crested saguaro is still a mystery.
In a crested saguaro, you have an icon on top of an icon. You have this strange form of the saguaro which stands out so much in our minds, and you've added a whole nother dimension to it in this strange growth.
The saguaro cactus on its own is an international icon.
The giant saguaro, monarch of the cactus family and trademark of the Southwest.
Its form can be recognized across the world in photographs, illustrations, and even emojis, but it only grows here in a portion of the Sonoran Desert. Its area spans from western Sonora, Mexico to southern Arizona, and barely spills over into parts of California.
In many cultures, the greeting is to have an open hand and hold your hand up. So subconsciously, I think it's buried in our psyches that this is something in our environment that we need to take note of.
Bill Peachy was born in Arizona and has been fascinated by the desert as long as he can remember.
The climate, the rocks, the plants, the animals, it all fits together in one way or another, and it's like a giant detective story.
What we do know about crests is that they occur in most species of cactus, but none are as noticeable as the saguaro.
They draw query like a magnet. What is causing this? How could this be? Why is it this way?
This is Pat Hammis. She was drawn in by the crested saguaro 11 years ago.
I belonged to the Southern Arizona Hiking Club and was a peak bagger. So as I was out climbing mountains, I would often see, or occasionally see, a crested saguaro. So one of the hiking guides suggested that we start taking pictures of them.
That hiking guide was veteran Bob Cardell.
The Marine Corps taught me how to hike, and I'm president of the Southern Arizona Hiking Club, my second tour of duty there. And I'm goal-oriented, and I love these mountains. While I was out hiking to the peaks, I was looking down through there, and I saw these funny-looking saguaros. I didn't know what they were for quite a while. I read a newspaper article that said there's 214 of these crested saguaros in Arizona. I said, I've seen more than that. So my new goal was to prove that fallacy incorrect.
Eventually, that became our only mission, was to find the crested saguaros.
Cardell, Hammis, and a small group of people formed the Crested Saguaro Society and began photographing and geotagging all the crested saguaros they could find, trying to prove there were more than 214 in the world.
And I was addicted. Right away, I bought a camera and I started taking pictures. Never slowed down.
The first known photograph of a crested saguaro appeared over 100 years ago, and you will never guess where. It was part of an Arizona Territory display set up at the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. Little is known about how it was transported, but it most certainly died during the Chicago winter. 1893 seems like a long time ago to us humans, but in the life of a saguaro, it's a different story.
They transform themselves from beings that are no bigger than a rice grain to multi-tonned individuals that we see that may live a couple hundred years. So they're operating in a span beyond ours.
To try to understand why saguaros crest, Peachy tells us it's important to understand how saguaros grow in the first place.
The stems grow like the party animals that hired clowns would make at a kid's birthday party. They unfold from the end and grow up taller and taller.
As they grow taller, they create pleats that can expand or contract to hold more water.
Each pleat hosts a row of spine clusters. Each spine cluster can grow multiple buds, flowers, and fruit, and maybe grow an arm later. What you see in a saguaro is a very long, involved process aimed towards reproduction.
These flowers are the result of that long process. They bloom when the saguaro has the best chance to reproduce, usually late April to early June. Crested saguaros, however, can vary wildly. Take this cactus in Deland de Benedetti's front yard, for example. We found it in full bloom back in February, months before it should be flowering.
It blooms twice a year. We've lived in this home 39 years, and when we moved in, it was not a crested saguaro. In the last 20 to 25 years is when it's become obviously crested and extremely obviously crested. The last 3 to maybe 4 years, 3 additional arms have started to become crested.
What's happening is the control mechanism for what causes the number of pleats is out of control. So instead of occasionally branching, there are multiple branches on a crest, and it keeps branching until it can't branch anymore.
Russell True's family moved to Arizona when he was a young child to open White Stallion Ranch.
I just thought the desert was amazing. I was out in it all the time.
This cactus has been there as long as he can remember. There's a prickly pear growing out of the crest.
Guests look forward to coming out and seeing what they usually call the mutated saguaro, and we explain it's a cristated or crested. You don't always see a cactus growing out of a different type of cactus, and they find that really interesting.
Recently, he found another crested saguaro forming on his property.
The first question is, why are they like that? And the experts don't know, so we don't know either. So we give them a few of the theories, and that really doesn't satisfy anybody, but still they're just happy to see it.
Of those theories, the ones that are mentioned the most are freezing and lightning, but Bill Peachy thinks it's something else.
I personally think that it's hormone control because it turns on and off. If you notice the cactus behind us, it went back to normal. There are 2 normal growths off of it.
No matter what the cause is, members of the Crested Saguaro Society are still hunting for new ones.
I found 3 new ones this past weekend.
It makes you run to it to get pictures of it. It's very exciting.
Made my day. Sometimes I go out all day long just buying one. That's okay, if it's a nice one.
Originally, we thought the ratio was maybe 4 in a million. Now I think it's at least 10 in a million, maybe more.
As of May 2016, there have been no surveys extensive enough to estimate how often saguaros crest. The Saguaro National Park is going to include that data in its 2020 saguaro census for the first time. The Crested Saguaro Society's obsession has proved one thing, though. that previous estimates of how many there are in the world were way off.
I've proven that they're more common than they were thought to be because people just didn't go out there and look for them. Now I've got over 2,000 of them. 2,214 crested saguaros.
Their data starts to paint a picture. You can see the number of crested saguaros in each county in Arizona. Still, little is known of crested saguaro populations in Mexico. Though more common than previously thought, these cacti are also more susceptible to frost and strong wind than normal saguaros. They are also threatened by poachers because of their uniqueness and value. As a result, they are afforded the highest level of protection from the Arizona Department of Agriculture.
Someday I hope science will diagnose what causes a saguaro to crestate. Right now they just don't know.
This is one of those things that may never be figured out in our lifetime because it's so difficult.
There are many things in life, and there always will be, that we haven't figured out.
There's a whole lot in our whole universe, let alone Earth, that we don't know much about. That doesn't make it any less interesting.
I love that we don't know everything. It reminds us of how little we really do know.
They're a mystery of Mother Nature, and they're just beautiful. I love them. Real addiction. And I'm not quitting either. I'm over 80 now. I'm not even slowing down. I'm gonna keep looking for more.
For more on the Crested Saguaro Society, including a link to their incredible online gallery of photographs, visit our website at azpm.org. And while there, like the Arizona Public Media Facebook page. You'll receive sneak peeks at Arizona Illustrated stories before they even appear on the show. It could be argued that every season in Arizona is rodeo season. Payson just held its spring rodeo, and the upcoming 4th of July weekend will feature the 129th annual World's Oldest Rodeo in Prescott. With this in mind, we look back at this year's La Fiesta de los Vaqueros and a bareback rider out of Carson City, Nevada, who shares his passion for rodeo and making a difference in the lives of young people.
Yeah, it is dangerous. Not every one of them is trying to kill you, but you know, there are some that they're just really tough to ride or kind of have that nature that they just don't want you there a lot. So I've had nasty wrecks, you know, and things, get hung up, and then you have to be able to like take that, throw it away, and get on another one. I rode bulls for a very short period of time, and I got hurt real bad when I was in high school, my freshman year. I got stepped on my face, and I've got 2 plates and 8 screws in my face. Broke my cheekbone, and then broke my jaw in 2 places, and unfortunately it happened on Mother's Day, and so yeah, so it definitely wasn't good. And I decided I wasn't very good at bull riding, so I switched to bucking horses about a year later. And Mom didn't like that right away, but started riding bucking horses and found I was a little better at it.
Welcome to the Tucson Rodeo. How you feeling out there today? Make a little noise. Let me know you're alive out there, will ya?
Oh, it's awesome. Just one of the great rodeos of this spring kind of winter run. Great crowd. The weather's beautiful.
How about we start them off with the banner of our United States Army?
Thank everybody coming out for the rodeo just for that. And then be able to thank people for their service really means a lot.
How about the banner, the red and gold flag of our United States Marine Corps?
You know, my mother and father were strict but not overly bearing, and it was always about having fun, you know, and making sure that everybody was happy. We were always together, hunting and fishing and camping, and it was just a loving family in Carson City. It's a great place to grow up. My dad rode when he was younger. Might have done a couple pro rodeos here and there, and then shoot, when I was 3 years old, I started doing rodeo, roping the dummy head on the bale of hay, and then worked my way up from there. I still wear his spurs that he rode with.
Now let's go to Cody Kaiser. All the single girls in the grandstands go, woohoo! He's 6'2", tall, dark, handsome, good-looking, rich, and yes, girls, he is single. Okay, there you go. Show him what you got. Holy cow. He owned him. He owned him. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. He is feeling good, and he's got every right to. We'll show you
something that I've always wanted to do. Even when I was a kid, I wanted to be a stuntman. I mean, they have a special guy that just crashes cars and jumps off buildings. And it's like, I want to do that. He said, hey, I might have a job for you. And I said, oh yeah? And what's that? He said, I need a bareback rider that meets this description, that can be here on these dates, and wants to do it. And I said, hey, I'm your man. Doesn't matter what it is, I'll do it. I got the call to double Bradley Cooper as Chris Kyle in American Sniper and be his stuntman for the rodeo scene at the beginning of the movie. And when I found out it was Bradley Cooper and Clint Eastwood, I was kind of blown away. You know, I wasn't sure if I'd meet them or get to know them or anything, and I was lucky enough to get to meet both of them, and just two of the nicest guys. I mean, both walked up and shook my hand, introduced themselves like I didn't know who they were. That was just by far one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, being able to not only double Bradley Cooper, but as Chris Kyle in this American hero movie about a Navy SEAL that really made a difference. I think that was honoring him, and I think it was honoring a lot of servicemen and women as well.
She belongs to us.
And to be a part of that is a huge honor, huge honor.
If you're proud of her, give her the welcome she deserves. Old Glory. They say behind the buck and shoots there are no atheists. We all need a little help once in a while. So in your own words and in your own way, please join me.
Whether it be working out, staying in shape, riding the spur board, or getting on horses, you know, not a day goes by that I'm sitting around doing nothing. I'm not any kind of natural talent. Like, it's taken me a lot of work, and I'm still not great at it all the time, you know? Like, it's just something that I've had to really work on. You gotta be healthy. In the world that rodeo is now, you have to be a professional athlete. I mean, you can't be smoking cigarettes or chewing tobacco all the time and be able to do this. Within 5 years, about 50% or a little less of those people that are diagnosed with oral cancer, in about 5 years, they're gone. They've passed on. Be smart, don't start. We got it on my shirt, my vest. You don't have to smoke or chew in order to be a cowboy or be cool, you know, or be successful. I like to be able to show what you can do without that. Rodeo is very much of an old school traditional thing, and nobody wants to change that. So I'm not here to change anybody's opinion. I'm not trying to tell people how to live their life. But my whole thing with oral cancer is getting to the younger generation, and that really stubborn age of about 12, 13 to 18, you know. I know when I was a kid, just having somebody come up to me and give me the time of day and shake my hand, give me a high five, something as simple as that, I know just like blew my mind, right? I've got guys that I ride with that smoke and chew, and they'll have their kids back there, and I'm like, hey, you know, can I give your kids a bandana or something? They're like, oh yeah, sure. Just to mess with me, they'll ask, they're like, hey, you got some chew on you or something? They know I don't chew, and I can handle that, it's not a big deal.
It doesn't matter how good of an actor you are, you gotta ride fucking horses if you're gonna win money in the rodeo business.
And I try to picture my ride going perfect. picturing what I'm gonna do and what the horse is gonna do, and it's a dance, and we're gonna do the dance, and it's gonna be great.
Will be the champions of the rodeo, the winners of our rodeo. Get the victory laps today. Now let's go to Cody Kaiser. Here's the stunt man from Carson City, Nevada. He was the stunt double.
That horse just doesn't like anybody being on him in the chute. He's not trying to hurt anybody. That's just the way he is. Just first jump out of the chute, just all there. I got behind right away. I got out on the end of my arm and just jerked down. It happened so fast I can't even tell you. And just got slammed into the ground, but it's all right.
Oh my.
There's not many horses like that out there, and even Benny Butler said that to me, the guy that owns a horse. I mean, a world-class cowboy, stock contractor. We had a fight today, and the horse won a fight, but that's all right. You know, I made it back in third, made a little money here, so that was unreal. You know, I couldn't be happier with that. I'm not just in anything for the money. You know, obviously I'm doing these things because I love what I do, and I want to crash cars and ride bucking horses and jump off buildings.
He owned him, yeah buddy, yeah buddy. He is feeling good and he's got every right to.
Depression can take people to some dark places, and what they do there can shock or hurt the ones they love. But sometimes hitting rock bottom can set the stage for a new beginning.
Coverage you can count on isn't just some slogan at News 4.
I was born and raised in Tucson. Being from here gives me
For decades, Martha Vasquez seemed to have it all.
We bring you all sides of the story.
My life was great. I mean, I loved my job. I got to meet different people every day. I got to learn something new every day. I never stopped learning, which I've always valued.
But in February of 2012, everything took an unexpected turn.
I think I did it because I wanted to end my life as I knew it. I can't even tell you what I was thinking that day. I went to the mall and I bought some shoes and I think I bought some makeup and then I took that top and the earrings and I walked out. And the security guard came after me and said, "Do you know that you have something that you didn't pay for in your bag?" And I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Well, did you plan on paying for that?" And I said, "No, I don't think I did."
Shoplifting cost Martha her career and her reputation. Even she wondered why she did it. But when she sought help from a psychologist, she learned her life had been building up to that moment.
I lost my dad when I was 7 years old. I stuffed it down. I moved ahead. I lost my brother when he was 15 years old. He was 17 and I was 15. I stuffed it down and moved ahead. I stuffed things that happened to me just down and then proceeded forward with a smile on my face and the determination to do a good job. I had a major depressive disorder in full swing, and I had no idea.
A consistent feature of depression is the downcast mood and a lack of enjoyment in what we used to enjoy doing. And so this sort of sets the potential scene for acting out in an unprecedented way, because you want to either signal that you're tired with what you're doing, or more likely you want to just change. And any change, any disruption of the monotony that you see contributing to your depression is welcome.
Psychiatrist Oli Teenhouse has seen that desire for change drive people to do shocking things.
There comes a time for some people when almost anything that will disrupt that kind of state is welcome news. It's not unheard of that people act out, if you want to use that word, in the context of some emotional episode in which they don't really know how to cope with the feelings they experience.
Or what am I going to do in life, or people that just need to be educated?
Ralph Romero struggled to cope with his feelings from an early age.
On the outside, I was pretending I was happy. I knew what was going on. I knew I had control, but I would lock myself away. I would hide myself from my family. I would constantly think I was doing bad all the time. I wanted out of life.
Ralph turned to drugs and alcohol. Eventually, he stole a vehicle and landed in prison, which is where he finally received treatment for his depression and anxiety and began to turn his life around. Today, he works to help others who've been incarcerated reintegrate into society and is studying to become a social worker.
I work in the jail, and sitting in that jail, it reminds me where I once was. But I'm on the other side now. I get to help them.
Martha also reinvented herself after hitting the darkest point of her life. She found recovery through a combination of medication, talk therapy, and hypnosis, and even became a certified hypnotist herself in hopes of helping others.
All people have value, and I am a valuable human being. You know, every day I wake up in the morning and I listen to one of my hypnosis processes, and it just tells me that I'm going to have a great day and that I'm going to be productive today and I'm going to be happy, and if I can help anybody, I'm going to help them. Right now in this
Ole Teenhouse says it isn't unusual for those who've battled mental illness and found healing, as Ralph and Martha have, to in turn aspire to help heal others.
Mama, how you doing today?
This is really, I think, harks to one of the best things in human beings, and that's the empathic altruism that we have. We learn from our own experience. We learn what helped us, and we'd like to share that with others and help them too. That's a very positive way of dealing with an experience like this.
But the first step, he says, is working to heal oneself.
The whole definition, if you will, of mental health is to be in charge of what you're doing, you know, to evaluate choices and decide what you do, which may not be the same choice between different people, but as long as you own your own decisions, that is a sign of healthy adaptation to life.
Oh, look, you have food here. Okay. I committed a crime, and I don't take that lightly. That will be a part of who I am for the rest of my life. But I also believe that people deserve second chances. Everything that's happened to me has made me a stronger person, more determined to do the right thing with my life. Oh, so good.
Thank you for joining us here on Arizona Illustrated. Next week, we recognize the dedication and service of Southern Arizonans in our armed forces. Veterans of World War II, the Korean and Vietnam Wars share their memories and remember those who paid the ultimate price so that we may remain free. A special Memorial Day episode of Arizona Illustrated. I'm Tom McNamara. See you next week.